Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Tuesday, it's February 27th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And a really nice downtrend today. What looked like was going to start out, this was similar to yesterday. This has just been kind of odd the last couple of days how we start out so flat because generally right at the open is, when you get a little bit of movement. And notice we don't really get some movement until almost 9 o'clock. And then, of course, from there on, it's pretty good. We're really in a trading range here, and we have a little failed breakout, and then we just shot right through the other side, and this thing just kept going. Turns out there's a two-tiered channel. You could have gotten this, you could have found this point simply by drawing off these lows and dragging it up, and that would have got you, in the right ballpark, and then I would have adjusted it off those first two. And then when it comes back here and you get that little double kiss right in here, man, it's off to the races. And so it was pretty obvious then. So really up until right about here, you could trade this both ways. I even had one more long down here just simply because, we're back above the EMA and it is a reversal pattern. So, and it looked like we were trying to get two legs down and this had played out and this one was in play. So I marked that long, but you notice after that, I didn't mark any more longs. It was pretty obvious it was all downhill. So I just didn't mark anything else to the long side. It gets, once you realize you're trending lower, you really don't want to be buying. So not without a really good pattern. So we'll talk about the ones I do see here as we get going. I'm going to back out where we can see it a little better. And we'll talk about the trades. Yeah, when I came in, we were just going sideways here. Notice how many times we'd bounce down here and then you get a new low and there's a first entry, second entry, and it bounces right off of that low. So that's technically not a failed second entry short, but we talk about this a lot. It still looks like one, it still works like one, it'll probably still act like one. So work the same. So I like going long there, and it's quick, easy scalp. You don't get much more out of it. That bar is, I can't remember how big that bar was, but you can see that it's a little bit bigger than 8 ticks. So you got to fudge a little bit here. So you may go for a little more, but it's easy to get a couple of points out of that. It comes back and gives you a higher low, but your stop has to go down here. This is fairly bullish. I wouldn't have a problem really going long there. I didn't mark it because this is really your signal bar, and your stop has to go way down here, and that makes that even bigger. And so I just didn't mark it. But you could have, if you wanted to be aggressive, you could take that trade. If it was a good signal bar down here and it's a little smaller, I'd probably say, yeah, you'd go for that one. And then we just get in this really tight range. And there's nowhere to enter that anywhere that would work, that's safe. Just you got to wait on a break. And finally you get a failed break lower. And I like that entry. Um, nice bullish bar, and we're probably going to at least go back and test the high, and then it breaks right out. And really you could have marked this one too, because now you got a failed break out the top. I think you're better off to wait on the lower high, and that really doesn't come till over here. So I marked that one, but you know that one's again, I really wouldn't have a problem with that one. I probably should have marked it, but notice there's a little bit of overlap right there, and that's a sure doji for sure. So that's another reason I'm just gonna make it green because I didn't feel comfortable with it when I was trading this morning, and I didn't mark it for that reason. So I'm gonna leave it green. But you could argue for it. So then we come back and we test this. It looks like we might get a breakout pullback type entry, but this is where your real overnight resistance is. And we closed right in there. We turned down again. Then we tested it once, twice, then we turned down. And this is a very small bar. Generally, I'd want a more bearish bar than that, but I think it's 3 or 4 ticks, and you don't get many small bars lately. And notice that's a new high, so it's a pullback first entry, pullback second entry, so that's a failed second entry long, a relatively small bar, a double test up here. I like going short there. You don't know that it's going to take off real quick like that, but you figure it's going to come back and maybe test get back in the range, this tighter range, and maybe go to the other side of the range, because now we just came off the upper side, so we're liable to go to the lower side. Turns out to be a really nice trade. And notice we're coming down. You get a first entry, then you turn down, and you get a second entry. And this is your first closeout. You actually got a closeout side right here and a new low in already. So this one becomes suspect. And there's, we're kind of going sideways there as well. It's a very neutral bar, but you could say, hey, that's 2 tries to go higher from off that high, and so you might risk that one. It works, but I just think you're better off to skip it, especially with that neutral bar. If we had a real negative bar there, I'd say go for it, because you got plenty of room to get out before this low and down here as well. So, but with it being so neutral, a lot of congestion stacking up there, I'd skip that one. And of course, off we go. You don't really get a chance to get into the long side. It moves up. You get your first break. That's a huge bar. That bar is like 3 points or more, I think. I can't remember. 14 ticks. So, it's a little over 3 points, 3.5 points there. So you just really can't take that. You could try a limit order, but it wouldn't have worked. You still wouldn't have got in, and it's a first entry, and it just kind of takes off. Really, you want to see prices test this and hold before you try to get long anyway at the upper side. So now notice we do have a break and a big move up and another small bearish bar up here. Look how far away we are from the EMA. We still haven't gotten a successful test of this that held. So I could see it coming back, and I like that one. Generally, you need to wait on your lower high, and that's the reason I marked it green. To play it safe, you wait on your lower high. But unfortunately, that doesn't come down here, and that's not off the trend line. It's not off the EMA. I think you got to wait. And notice you get a first entry, and then you shoot down a second leg, and you get a second entry, and it fails instantly. That's a neutral bar. But with that confirming that trend line, we really already confirmed that trend line way up here. With that coming back and that being a failed second entry long after 2 legs down, we're probably headed down to here, and who knows where we could go. So I think that one's worth taking. Unfortunately, I didn't see another way to get in this. There is a little breakout pullback short here with but again, you probably need to wait on a lower high, and that comes here, and it's we're just going sideways. There's too much support here. It breaks lower and drops on down, but that's just one of those you got to say, hey, if you're not already up here running managing a runner, and you just really need to let it go without you. So, but now you got to close a new low. It's really tempting to go long there, but it's not worth it. You need to wait on a higher low, which comes here. That bar is too big. It's right into the EMA. Wait on your reversal. There it comes right there. Failed second entry short. Another nice bullish bar. I like going long right there. And this is one of those where it's not completely evident because the trend line doesn't really fit well. But when it comes back and tests it again, you definitely want to get in there, and I don't have a problem adding on there. So that's a nice setup. And notice how it takes off. They trap those people to the short, and it takes off real quick, only to watch it go lower. And so, of course, I'd measure this leg here, move it over, and I'd look for a measured leg down. So you can see you got a good ways to go here. And we end up getting way, you can see we finally found some support there before we pushed lower one more time, and we went a good bit lower than that. So anyway, you got your longs there, and now we're headed lower, and there's another real small bar. You got an overshoot there. You got to, this one was hard because generally your line comes off the first 2 swings, but it didn't fit over here. So if you make it fit here and drag it over, you see it. We had our break real before we even confirmed the trend line. So, and then we got an overshoot. So you're looking to get short, But the problem is this is really bullish, but that's a long way away from the EMA. You might wait on a lower high, which comes here. Um, but just because that's such a small bar, but look how we're back inside, and it looks like it's going to hold. And notice how some people went long right there. Prices broke above, and they trapped them, and instantly the bottom falls out of it. So you might go short there, but because this was a little unclear, I really felt it was better to wait on a lower high, and we never really get one until it corrects here. And now you're making a higher high than this one after a little failed break lower, and you really don't have this trend line in play yet. You draw it off these first two swings, so that bar is too bullish. So you might have considered going short there, but this is there is a double top here, so this is a failed second entry long, or you could treat it like one, but I don't think I would even attempt that one. This is another one. You just have to kind of let it watch it go without you. And then notice you get a new low, then a first entry, second entry, but you don't have much room here. It would have worked, but just wait. You're not back to your trend line yet. You're a little bit short there. And this is your first close outside what looks like a little trend line right there, and then it runs up, and then now you get a bearish bar right where you're expecting one. So now I like going short right there. And then it moves down, breaks higher, and turns and goes out the other side again. And that's, again, now you got 3, 4 touches. Everything's closing in outside that trend line, and that makes a 5th touch. So I like going short right there. Even though it's at those lows, it's right off that key entry point. It's right off the EMA. It's right off the midline of this bigger channel, although you wouldn't have had that one yet. So you can just forget about the midline because you wouldn't have had that in place yet. You couldn't get that till you at least made this low, or you got this high here. That'd be the earliest you could find that. So forget that one. But it shoots on down. It pulls back first entry, second entry. So another second entry. You do get a little close outside this time, but it's still a second entry. And this is almost like kind of like a little repeat pattern. We saw it a couple of other times back here. Real bearish bar. And this is why you don't tighten your stop really. You leave it where it goes, because if you tighten your stop here, you got stopped out only to watch it go exactly where you thought it would go. If you didn't enter here, I wouldn't enter on these others, because now you got 3 or more bars stacked up. You got 2 dojis in there. I'm a little leery of it now, even though it turns out it works out, and it turns out to be a really nice trade. You do have a target on down there. So you would expect prices going lower, but this is giving you a break of this shorter term channel, and so all you got to do is get a new low, and then it may bounce, and you may not even get a new low. So you got to be real careful with that. But if you caught this one, you get another nice runner, and and several of these would have been nice runners, and then it reverses. And look at this. This is a really strong reversal. Takes off, shoots right through the EMA, pulls back, gives you a first entry short, and it pushes higher and pulls back, gives you a second entry short. It fails. Nice bullish bar. If you draw that line there and pull it over, it fits nicely. It's off the EMA. Nice bullish bar. I like going long right there. That looks like a reversal pattern. It didn't last very long because it turns out we got a channel here. But you could have been expecting this turn down here because you could have drawn this off this low. You might have had it a little steeper here. I did because I used those closes the first time. So it still would have turned down right off of it, but I adjusted a little bit based on the close. I like to use the closes after the low or the high. When I start my trend line, I usually use the low or high, and then after that I use the closes from that point, from any point forward. So but yeah, you're moving up, you get a close outside, move to a new high, you get a lower high here. Not a very good bar though. You could argue to go short right there, but when it tries to go higher a third time and fails, and it actually went out the top and turns and goes down, I'd have a stop, sell stop right there, and that's a great place. And this is a little double top up here, and notice what happens. First entry, pull back second entry, fails, another bearish bar right there. I'd look for at least a measured leg down, and we're still looking for maybe a target of here on that measured leg. But at the very least, on the more recent stuff, I would measure that and then move it over here. And you can see that we got about a measured move and it tried to bounce, but we still had a lot further to go lower. And then it confirms your trend line here, not a very good bar, and it comes back and confirms it again, and it actually goes, I believe this one went out the upside and then turned and went down. This was later in the day, so I wasn't sitting here when this happened right here. So I'm not sure if it went out the top first or not, but I still like it. It's just so bearish. You might let it break lower and drop a limit order, and you see you could have gotten filled a little further back up in that one. I don't know specifically where, but then it runs down and it bounces, and then we finally get a close outside and a move to a new low, and it reverses. I like this one simply because we tried to go up once, we tried to go up twice, and you still got enough room there before you get to this support, and we're trying to make a new low as well. So with that 3 times to go higher there, you're probably going to trap some longs at try, especially with that right there. That's a second entry long count from here, pullback first entry, pullback second entry, but we don't have a new low in place yet, and this has been a pretty good downtrend. So you don't want to be buying anymore after this point, since probably the only reason I like that one is because it's a reversal, but you don't want to be picking bottoms. You want to get a reversal like that. And you'd be picking bottoms trying to buy in here. And so it does bounce, but no buys. You get a chance to sell here. It's right off the trend line, but there's this little short-term channel working up. That's the first break of it. So wait on a lower high for it to come back here, and you get a lower high here, and it does match and kind of confirm what's working down already. Another nice little entry, and it comes back, and you get one more second entry here. It's not a horrible signal bar, but it's not perfect either, and we're not back to the trend line, so I'm a little leery of that one. If you drew your trend line off that one, though, that would have been the place to enter. And it's only a bar or two into 2 o'clock, so if you were still really wanting to take a trade, I wouldn't have a problem with that one. And of course, I generally don't like anything after 2 o'clock, but you can see we just kept going lower and lower, and there's some nice little setups in here. Notice that, and then we came back and double tested it, so that would have been a great short, and look at it go. Yeah, there's some more trades all through the afternoon there, and but generally I just don't think it's wise to trade after 2 o'clock. So nice 2-tiered channel working down. You couldn't really find this channel until it was a little after 11 before you could find it off the lows and drag it up, and then still it was lunchtime before it really got confirmed. So that was not a easy channel to help you. The shorter term stuff was the way to go, and that generally is the way to go, even on a bigger, even when there's a bigger pattern. Try to use your shorter term stuff to kind of keep you, it kind of gives you the clue of when it's going to reverse by playing out the trend lines just the same. So keep that in mind. But really good trading, lots of trades today, most of them shorts after the trend line or the downtrend got going. So it was a nice day, and there wasn't a real hard to find these channels. The bigger 2-tier channel, you probably need to know what you're doing to find it, but these shorter term ones, they were not that difficult to find. Just use your first 2 swings, or the first few bars coming down, or the first few bars going up, and generally you're going to find it off the first couple swings. And the way to confirm it is it has to fit nicely on both sides. If it doesn't, then it may be it's suspect, it may not be right. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.